And so once again, this is all thanks to Monster Legends Competitive Wiki for taking the time and effort to go through all of the players and looking through the accounts and telling things up. So if you want to follow along, there will be a link in the description to the Monster Legends Competitive Wiki. With that being said, let's see the heavies. These are monsters that saw 40 or more players using them. And Vanoss is still in the lead. He was in the lead during the mid-season. I wonder how he's going to be by the end of Cosmic Tournament 2. So right now, his attack is 21 and defense is 45. So I think one of the reasons he is the most used defense monster is because he has the Pierce mechanic and he's a pretty strong monster. If we look at all the Cosmic monsters, there's not that many strong attackers. We have Heist, we have Hardy. Hardy's actually stronger than Vanoss, but again, Vanoss has the Pierce mechanic. He can automatically essentially kill the likes of Hornets, and then he can also kill Wormlad and Grakon. Now, yes, they can hold Revival Essence, but to be honest, with the stats of these new Cosmic Mythics, it's very possible they go twice before that Wormlad and Grakon get a second turn in. So as long as you keep the Pierce mechanic, or before they get a single turn in, as long as you keep the Pierce mechanic, you can kill them again. So I can see why this monster is used a lot in defense. I definitely see him dying out though, so we'll see by the end of Cosmic Tournament 2. Well, even then, we still haven't gotten a really strong attacker besides Hardy. So we'll see how his usage develops as more and more Cosmics are released. Ignis is also a very popular monster used both in attack and defense, and to be honest, Ignis is a support monster, and it's interesting because typically support monsters aren't used so much in offense or defense, especially not defense. I would imagine the reason he's used a lot is because he's the Cosmic Team Race monster. A lot of players got him ranked up, especially the players in the top 100. They probably have him at rank 4 or 5, and every time I battle him, he runs like 2 speed and a team speed, or 1 speed and 2 team speed, and he still outspeeds my Siamese. It's crazy. So Ignis can remove positive effects from the team, from the enemy. He's a good support monster. I don't see his usage being that high in later games. Probably he'll be higher usage in attack than on defense, because on defense he does not work that well. I have seen him with bases consisting of Daedalus and Vanoss, or Lonrad and Vanoss, and then he does have a really great cleansing skill that also heals by 50%. So if you don't kill him, he's definitely a threat. But yeah, we'll see how he develops. Daedalus is used both in offense and defense, 47 times total, 25 in attack, 22 on defense. I mean, he's just a Megaton monster. You place him on defense, place him on offense. He can absorb attacks. He's awesome. Lonrad, again, like the bases I fight, they really use a combination of these 4 monsters over and over again. Lonrad mostly used on defense for that sun protection, that revival, great resurrection. Sometimes the AI is dumb and won't resurrect for like 3 turns. It's the weirdest thing ever. But yeah, these are your top dogs, your top monsters. Megaton monsters will always be highly used because if you're slower than the enemy, the fact that they can absorb the AoE deny is fantastic. The fact that they can absorb an attack from the enemy attacker is fantastic. And then on defense, well, now you can't go in AoE deny, right? When I battle Daedalus, I can't do cooldown activation with Siamese. I have to single target, so it's always going to be a go-to monster. I imagine Bomb Beta is going to replace Daedalus on PvP because, I mean, higher stats, right? A rank 2 Bomb Beta has the same stats as a rank 2 Daedalus has the same stats as an unranked Bomb Beta. It's insane. A fully ranked up Bomb Beta has like 100k more life stat than Daedalus, and then you add in the runes and everything. Now the thing Daedalus has going for him is the fact that he actually has damage protection, but that can actually be fenced away, especially when we have the likes of Ignis. But yeah, just thought I would mention that. So these are the heavies, the top 4 monsters from Cosmic Tournament 1, and then the toughies. Let's see, players, 20 to 39 players were using them. We have Ondana. Ondana was 1 player away from being in the heavy category, which just shows you the power of Ondana. So Ondana is 27 in attack and 12 on defense. So Ondana is interesting because Ondana relies on stamina drain. And one really great thing about Ondana is that you can remove positive effects from a single monster and get an extra turn. So even if you face a Daedalus or a Bomb Beta, you can actually get rid of Megatons, and then you can do a 50% stamina drain, and then your Charizard's Amulet triggers, and it basically becomes like 100% stamina drain. Also, your Relic, your trait gives maximum stamina increase to all of your team by double, just like Thalassa. So even when you're up against all these stamina drain relics, removes 300 stamina. Nabulion's Trap removes a ton of stamina from your whole team. They're still going to have stamina to attack. You also have a trade disable skill, so when you're still facing those pesky taunt monsters, taunt mythics with dodge area monsters, you can trade disable the Urder, the Armor Claw, the Brutalizer, and then you can single target and kill the legendary like that. So that's how I'm using my Ondana. I've actually started using Ondana as a team speed holder. It works out really well. And then we have Siamese. And Siamese, this is the combo I'm doing right now. Works out wonderfully, mostly using attack, not so much on defense. And that's because defense is primarily these monsters now. So the thing about Siamese is that she is a fantastic monster. AoE cooldown, single cooldown, can shock, has precision at the start of the battle, can remove positive effects, can Mega Possess. She is amazing, but again, against the likes of a Daedalus, that Megaton is just annoying. Nor's usage is 1317. Wow. So 30 players are still using Nor. I feel like Nor's usage is going to keep dropping just because of Hardy and more players having access to Hardy, more players probably ranking up Hardy, especially the top players. You know what? I'm surprised. Was Kodama released in this event? I imagine Kodama, here's what's going to happen. Siamese's usage is going to go down and Kodama's usage is going to increase. And the reason for that is because Lonrad being one of the main monsters used, Kodama can actually block Resurrection and Kodama can actually do the cooldown activation. And even though Siamese's skill set is overall better, just because the stats difference is so staggering different, just like how I mentioned, Daedalus and Bombeta, eventually the Mythics are going to be outplaced by the Cosmics. Even if their skills aren't the same as the Mythics, it's just the stats difference is insane. So with that being said, Nor, I feel like Nor is going to die out. Again, typically the team race monsters, they tend to be the popular ones, right? Daedalus, no, any monster that players can get ranked up easily. So the team race monsters, the fraternity monsters, the breeding event monsters, or just a really good monster that players invest with. I think Lonrad was a maze monster, Golden Pass monster. Yeah, these two are team race monsters. I think with any future anticipation and even just Hardy, I imagine this is going to go down and down. Hardy is not even being used as much right now. That's interesting. Erder is still being used, almost the same attack on defense. Grakon is surviving. So I think Grakon will outlive Wormlad just because Deny tends to dominate. And if Grakon is allowed to turn in against the Mythics and Cosmics, you can still make a comeback. If you let Grakon get a turn in, you can survive. So I'm imagining Bombeta, Grakon, Erder base. You know, that can probably keep Grakon alive, and then Grakon can literally Megaton, cooldown activation, stun, trade disable, do curse and poison. Like, the amount of stuff Grakon can do is insane. Centurion, again, Megaton is always going to be meta, and the cool thing about Centurion is you have permanent Megatons, so especially if you resurrect Centurion with a Lonrad, if you resurrect with a Miseris, if you resurrect with any monster, you have yourself a permanent Megaton. Wormlad is still at 20 uses. Ooh, he almost is going to drop down to the mids. Again, I do see his usage falling and falling. The problem with Lonrad compared to that of Grakon is that Grakon can deny and turn the tide of a game. Wormlad, he could resurrect one of your allies, and yeah, he can resurrect with evasion and positive effects protection, but to be honest, it's not like the Grakon where he can deny and turn the tide of a game. Wormlad, even if he resurrects, the way the Mythics are so fast in their stats, Wormlad is not going to get a turn in for a while. The monster you resurrected, well, depending on who it is, like maybe the enemy removes positive effects twice, or, you know, they just go after your Wormlad, then your Wormlad's dead, and it's GG after that. So I definitely see Wormlad falling off. The mids, of course, we're still going to have the taunt mechanic with the dodge areas. Let's see, we have Moonhaze, one of the best, probably the best free-to-play Mythic monster. He can do Mega Possession, he can stun, he can apply a photophobic shield, he can remove positive effects from the team. He's really good. Hardy, there we go. Hardy's mostly used on defense. I imagine to take on players that are bringing Nor. Yeah, Hardy's not my favorite. He's undeniably the strongest attacker currently in the game, but I think that's just it. He's just an attacker who happens to have anticipation, and I mean, in terms of bringing this monster for offense, the AI won't just basically they won't prioritize the extra turn skills, and in terms of defense, he is so easy to counter. You know, you can just deny him with anything. You can apply dots on him, triggers anticipation, kill him. He's not that hard of a monster to kill. Team race monster, Miseris, defense for the resurrection, hidden gems, 2 to 9 players using them. We have Glamhead. Glamhead and Siamese are like, they're both pretty good. The cool thing about Glamhead is you have a single possession skill. It gives you an extra turn, so then you can do CDA. So Glamhead is pretty cool. He's also immune to torture. He's squishy, but again, that immunity to torture helps. I like Glamhead a lot, but I think he's just not as popular as Siamese because of the fact that Siamese, with a team race monster, more players have access to her ranked up, so probably not a lot of players invested in Glamhead. He was a maze monster, but if he was a team race monster, he'd probably get more usage than Siamese. Then again, Siamese has a Mega Possession rather than an extra turn, and she can remove positive effects from a single monster, and she has precision, so her attacks land 100% of the time. So I don't know. Give me your thoughts. Who do you like better, Glamhead or Siamese? And again, Megaton monsters, they will always be technically meta. The thing about Iso is he also has Taunt, so even when Megaton is gone, he still absorbs single attacks. Blaz is still used. That's interesting. He's a great monster. He's a great support monster. Kodama, there we go. 1 attack, 6 on defense. I guarantee you that now that the top 100 players are investing in these Cosmics, we're going to see this usage increase so much, and Siamis is going to drop. I definitely see this monster being... And again, just the fact that you block Resurrection, like, that's a threat to Lonrad, that's a threat to Miseris, that's a threat to the new monster that's going to be released, Rotten. I see Kodama probably being in the heavy category for a while, and then maybe staying in the toughies category. Alright, let's see what else we have. We also have Tremor, the Grakon of Mythics. He's a good monster. He's actually a really good monster. He can Mega Stun, he can Extra Churn, he can cooldown activation, Extra Churn, he can AoE Stun. But it's interesting that he is not as popular as others. I think it's just because the game doesn't prioritize stun, freeze, or possession. It's really about taunt, dodge area. Well, that's even dying out. It's really about attackers. Like, can you attack? Can you Mega Taunt and have like an attacker and a support monster? Cyber Owl, the OG monsters right here. Here we go. OG monsters, first monsters to be released, still in the game. I think Armorclaw has survived as long as he has, thanks to the fact that he has taunt, thanks to the fact that his Save Rossigut skill takes on the dark monsters. And if we look through the top monsters used, dark monster right there, dark monster right there, and let's see who else. Okay, those are the darks. And then if you look through the natures, nature monster right there. I mean, that's a legendary, so it doesn't matter too much. And nature monster right here, so you have a little mental advantage against them. So yeah, that's helped him out. Hornet, I'm surprised. Hornet, I imagine, would die even with Black Feather being in the game, being able to trigger anticipation. I don't see Hornet being used that much. Maybe for offense a little more, but I think we're not going to see any usage from this in the next Cosmic Tournament. Cawthor, I'm surprised. I feel like he was dying out, and somehow he made a comeback. 5 in attack. So I don't know what that is. I think players are just looking for a strong attacker to have, and they decided to go with Cawthor. Raw, I'm also surprised. 3 on attack. Let's see. Can make the enemy weak to magic. Has magic attacks. Low stamina cost, unlike the other extra churners. So that one surprised me. Like, technically, Nightingale has a stronger damage output, I think. Yeah, you can always check out my analysis on them. I'll actually post that in the description. I made a tier list for the extra churners. Okay, so we have Raw, we have Froma. This is like on Dana, but I mean, just not up to par. Like, they can hold the same stats, they can both remove positive effects. This monster can actually remove positive effects from a single enemy monster in a single churn. But yeah, I think just on Dana wipes it out with the trait and the extra churn skill. Mr. Beast, he can apply Megaton, but doesn't have it at the start of the battle. Oh, Unspeakable, he's the taunt that wants to be an attacker. Madam Fusion, of course, is still being used for offense. If she's allowed to turn in, she's like Grakon, can depending on if you have allies alive, because Madam Fusion needs allies, this can change the course of a game. It's like War Master Thalassa. If War Master Thalassa gets the turn in, can change the course of a game. So Thalassa, Grakon, they're kind of in the same level. Madam Fusion, obviously Grakon has the advantage of being able to hold Revival Relic, higher chance for him to actually get a skill. You can still 3-speed him, and that Revival Relic helps out. But yeah, these monsters like Vanoss kills Madam Fusion. Who cares if you have evasion? Pierce. And Thalassa, she doesn't have any Revival Relic or anything, no evasion, so again, she gets wrecked. Let's see, we have Krusty, another extra trainer, Ilian. You know what, I actually like Ilian a lot. Ilian is one of the few monsters, it might only be Ilian and Ondana, let me know if there's another monster, because no one's coming to mind, that can remove positive effects and grants an extra turn, which is great, again, for dealing for Daedalus, dealing against Bomb Beta. Remove Megaton, extra turn, and then Ilian has a really great Soft Deny, which applies Sunburn, Daze, and Blind. You have a single total blind, so I like Ilian a lot, actually. I feel like Ondana and Ilian kind of can counter Megaton right now, which is a big thing, so I do like the monster. Ilian specifically, right? Let me get rid of your Megaton and let me blind the enemy deny. If it's a Siamis, you're total blind, now you're going to miss. We have Nazael, Anticipation, Revival Relic, can remove positive effects. Muchi, he's the Lifesteal Mythic. Nikasha blocks Resurrection, dodge area. There's Nightingale right there. And Ragnarok still staying alive for the War Masters. 2 on defense. That status caster at the start of the battle is very nice. But again, with Vanoss, who cares what status caster you get? Vanoss can wipe you out. The Stragglers, we have Megataunt. Zorky, maybe because he can hold Revival. And, I mean, players are maybe just using him to buff that that attacker, you know, that's maybe why Cawthor's in the game. Buff Cawthor. Cawthor does a powerful AoE skill. I think Cawthor is one of the few that have a powerful AoE. I think it's 45 damage, it might be 40 damage. Blazinger, the Artifact Mythic. Glub, another Taunt Mythic. Heist, I don't understand. I really don't think he's that good of a monster. And again, it's indicative by... Heist is literally one of the easiest monsters to get. Especially if you're a top 100 player. You're probably a spender. You could have invested in a lot of tier 5 chests, probably stacked up on 200 high cells over and over and over again and have him rank 5. But again, he's not used a lot. It doesn't even matter that he's immune to control. He's just not as popular as Hardy or as Vanoss. We have Zygar, another Anticipation monster that blocks Resurrection. Lord Pumpseed, Corruptus, War Master Elvira staying alive. Only one player using Thunder Kong. I guess people did not really like him. And he's interesting. He's an extra trainer that has a revival essence. So any monster that has revival is scary. Vastas is being used. Arumel. Arumel is interesting. Only 1 on attack. I wonder if Arumel usage is going to increase. Arumel has a skill called Compassion is Weakness, or Weakness is Compassion, something like that, that gives this monster Evil Legion Hater and immediate extra turn. Guess who just happens to be an Evil Legion monster? Bombeta. So, super tanky monster that was released into the game. This monster can give triple damage against the likes of Bombeta. So maybe Arumel is the closest monster we have being able to OTK. I don't know, we're going to have to do some testing, but yeah, I think it's very interesting that one of the OG monsters that was released has Evil Legion haters, and then the future Megaton Cosmic that gets released is an Evil Hater monster. It's an Evil Legion monster. So Arumel has a chance to take on the likes of Bombeta. Very interesting. Josh Dub is interesting. He's like an extra turner, but not an extra turner because he has 3 extra turn skills, or he has 2 extra turn skills, so he can actually do 3 attacks in a single turn. But one of them is just increased accuracy. But then he also has like a strong 60 damage spawnable skill, 70 damage skill. He's one of the few to have 70 damage. So he's interesting. Urkin, I don't know. I think someone got into the top 100 and put Urkin on their team because I don't understand. He's the kind of like Zorky. He can give triple damage to an ally and he's support. But yeah, guys, with that being said, these are the top monsters used by the top 100 players. Obviously, the top 4 being Daedalus, Ignis, and Vanoss29 and Lonrad. I do wonder how it's going to be for the mid Cosmic Tournament too, now that we have a lot of new monsters in the game, especially Bombeta. Is Daedalus going to go down? I pretty much guarantee it, especially because Bombeta was a frat event monster, so a lot of the monsters from probably the top 100 players, a lot of the players probably have him fully ranked up, so they're using him on defense all the time. I know I run into him a lot of the time. So I think Daedalus is probably going to drop to a toughie, maybe even a mid. No, that's too low. He's probably going to drop to like, what's he at now, 47? He'll probably drop to mid-20s. I think mid-20s, low 30s, and then Bombeta is going to be like maybe pushing 50. I think 50% of the players are going to be using them. If not, definitely by the end of Cosmic Tournament 2. I think Vanoss will probably still stay on the top, and I don't know who else. I don't know how that's going to change, so it's going to be interesting to see. So with that being said, guys, this has been the top monsters used by the top 100 players. Once again, a huge shout out to Monster Legends Competitive Wiki. Link in the description if you want to follow along and look at all those monsters used. And with that being said, I am Armor Gaming. Thank you all for watching, and remember to subscribe.